This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Still Austin Straight Bourbon Whiskey. This is a new rye blend called The Musician, first in a series because music has the ability to bring us all closer together, to make us feel more free and alive, just like great whiskey. Still Austin, owned locally, distilled in Austin, 100% Texas. Vor, Amarillo's only true tapas dining experience, now open 7 days a week with lunch being served daily. And now on Saturdays and Sundays, brunch being served from 11 to 3. Savor. Amarillo Rocks this week, we've got the luminous, the talented, the amazing Derek Porterfield.
Yeah, everybody look at me!
Thanks for having me on, dude.
Good to see you.
I'm good, man.
Glad to have you.
Hey, I'm so
finally, yeah. After a good 30 minutes of setup here.
That's just part of the charm, honestly.
It is, man. So Derek has been in a cadre of bands over the years, including, but not limited to, An Autumn Rain.
Yes.
Derek Porterfield and all his friends.
Yes.
What else you got going on?
So I've played in a couple of other bands, but really it was a lot of. I've never been talented enough to hang with a whole lot of other people, right? So there were very brief stints. I played with a country band. I played in a couple other little local projects. But no, those are my two main ones: An Autumn Rain and Derek Porterfield and all his friends. And they stuck the longest.
Yeah.
I'll put it that way, because it's just me. There's fewer people to piss off.
Yeah.
So.
We've often said that being in a band, depending on the size of the band, for example, most metal bands have, two guitar players, a bass player, and a singer, and a drummer. And it is akin to having four wives. They all know about each other. And you're always in a power struggle as to who is actually the wife and otherwise, who's wearing the pants in this thing.
Oh, yeah, it's impossible. It's too many personalities to juggle. There's a lot of egos to juggle. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of, and I've got enough ego to fill a whole band, so I just decided to do it by myself.
This later recording, so we've had some of your stuff on the podcast, on that weekly audio show, and it's great stuff, man. It's pretty, it's post-punk, post-pop, pop-punk. I don't know what the fucking genre is anymore.
Well, so the way I've described it to other people, and I owe this to Remy DeLaura. It's just Midwest emo is what I call it now.
Midwest emo.
I used to have a lot more adjectives in front of it because I'm a pretty pretentious guy, so I tried to throw as much as I could in front of it. But yeah, I think Midwest emo describes it best.
What did he say? Emu?
Emu, yeah. He's got it. I love that, man. I wish I'd thought of it.
Remy, I know you're not here, but we wish you were here, buddy. I love you. I've been trying to.
I miss that guy.
Yeah, he's a good dude. He's got a girlfriend now, so he's dissing his bros a little bit. Mm-hmm. Actually, I think they went to the canyon this weekend.
They did. I saw the pictures. Yeah. That's what I said. They posted some picture of he made. This is classic Remy. I mean, he's such a brilliantly beautiful soul.
Yeah.
And he made sunflowers out of Legos for his girlfriend.
Yeah.
Because they'll never die, right?
Aww.
And so I commented on the picture. I was like, you're going to start making him write happy songs, and I'm so ready. Like, I'm ready for this era of native crowds that they're going to start writing some poppy,
obnoxious, vomit-worthy love songs.
I want Remy DeLaura bubblegum pop. That's what I want.
Oh my God. Brace yourselves, folks. Winter is coming.
Yes.
But you've got your hands in quite a few other things. I mean, when I Googled you this morning, it said author right out of the gate. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, I knew you'd written a book. I didn't know you got 5 books out now.
No. So I'm on 3. The 4th one should be coming out. It should have already been out. But I am not great at hitting deadlines. And then I have a 5th one coming out, hopefully at the end of the year. But I mean, if I hold true to my existing schedule, I'm probably not going to put it out. I'll have to really buckle down. But yeah, I've got 2 science fiction books, and it's part of a 3-part series, so it's a trilogy.
Nice.
And so the 3rd book of that should be out in December, and then I have 2 poetry books. And the
your poetry
book,
or
it's my poetry.
You collected, or
it's my poetry, and the way I've always described it. Have you ever read Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss?
No, I have not.
So he has, and I'll butcher the line, but it's my favorite book. And he talks about how poets are essentially just musicians that can't play an instrument, right? So I take the rejected songs or the things that didn't quite work as music, and I try to shape them into something else and still have somewhere to use them. And eventually I had a book's worth of poems, and I thought, man, that was kind of cool. I enjoyed that, and I put that out as She Doesn't Love Me, I Am Sad.
Yeah.
And that's you can get that at Barnes & Noble. You can
Really?
go out and check it out. It's something I'm very proud of. It represents kind of an anthology of my growing up in music, right? So 15-year-old Derek is writing about how hard it is to date, and then you have 34-year-old Derek who's writing about how hard it is to date. So there's a lot of growth that covers. And then this next book is kind of in a similar vein. I mean, it's just a lot of love poetry and a lot of pieces of life that kind of came out as incomplete songs or things that didn't need music, that needed to kind of stand on their own. And I've also got a bunch of essays and junk in there too. So
Did these start off as songs and became poems, or?
So almost everything I write, man, and I'm sure you'll sympathize with this too, but there's my focus is almost always music. It's almost always the band, right? So if I'm sitting down and I'm playing something, I've got probably 100, 150 songs that are just a few measures, like you're part way through, and maybe that'll be something someday.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of these are. They're just, I wrote this piece and it was a hook or something, and it didn't work in the song and it wasn't the right song, but it kind of works as a poem and it has its own life that it needed to take on.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I did a little bit of that stuff when during the pandemic. I found out that I like to write really wordy raps.
Really?
I don't know how to program beats, and so I just got all this stuff parked, and got all this stuff just sitting in there. I'm like, I really need to sit down and learn how to make beats and do all that other shit, because I think I'd have a lot of fun doing hip hop.
Yeah. Can you rap?
Yeah.
I would love to hear you rap.
I'm not doing it on here.
Okay. I would love that, man.
But the other thing is, a lot of it is like really dated political stuff. Well, I don't know. I say that. I'm pretty well known for how much I hate Donald Trump, and so there's a lot of that, and it's actually mostly political stuff.
I think political stuff is one of those rare things that, like, at least the sentiment it never really ages.
No.
I still rock Rise Against just as hard as I did back when they were putting out their first Suffer and the Witness.
Yeah.
And even though it's somewhat topical in that time, that anger and everything that we feel in any sort of like political music. I think it rings true. All politicians suck.
Absolutely. Yeah.
we can hate the power.
Their job
for
is
all
to
of history.
suck, I think.
You're damn right. Yeah.
Lit Arcade Bar, Amarillo's one and only arcade bar, located in downtown Amarillo at 701 South Polk. Check out our selection of over 25 vintage arcades and over 15 pinball machines. We also have pool tables and shuffleboard. And don't forget, we have the best beer and cocktails in town and are available for party rentals and for your corporate event. Lit Arcade Bar, 701 South Polk, Amarillo, Texas, downtown. Early French Quarter, New Orleans, come out to the Drunken Oyster, Amarillo's only absent bar with a full Cajun menu, amazing steaks, salads, burgers, po' boys, gator, crawfish, to name a few options, and an amazing authentic Cajun vibe with live music and brunch from 11 to 3 on Sundays. Drunken Oyster, 7606 Southwest 45th.
Speaking of Rise Against.
Yes.
And Zach Blair.
Yes.
Are you going to the show Thursday?
So I'm going to try my best to make it out. I am actually filming a wedding at 4:30 in the morning the next day.
Brutal.
So not very likely that I'll be able to stay up late. Man, I really want to go.
Yeah.
And who else? It's not.
It's Toadies and Draculas.
Is Tulsa Doom playing?
I don't think so.
Okay, because Donnie has that other project now too. I think I missed them at Golden Light. I want to say they played Golden Light not too long ago.
A couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna try and make it. You gonna be there?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I took working at Lit. I took that Thursday off so I could go see the Toadies, because that's what you do in Amarillo, Texas. When the Toadies are in town, you go see the Toadies.
You do.
Sublime was there last week, right?
Yes. I saw pictures from that. I didn't get to go, but yeah.
So those cats were, and I guess I can say this now, those cats were in the bar with me Thursday night. They all been playing pinball and shit, hanging out with us.
No shit.
And then we, after I closed down Lit, and some other folks went ahead and they went to Leftwoods and hung out. And like we were gonna set up the PA, and everyone was a little drunk, and then they realized they didn't have any guitars with them. I'm like, shit. I said, oh, do you want me to run to my studio and grab a couple of guitars? Well, the Rome guy was like, you have a studio? And I'm like, yes, it's a freaking disaster. Like a lot of this, I'm putting all this stuff up on the walls for deadened sound and whatnot.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, this place is a wreck, and my fiance's got to be at work at like 7 in the morning, dude. I can't do it tonight. And the tour manager was like, thank God. Because he was like, he does not want to fucking chase these guys around.
Oh, no.
But I ended up hanging out with one of the crew guys, a guy named Matt, and I don't know, I ran him to his hotel at like 3 in the morning. We drank IPAs and Blanco tequila all night.
Man, that's the dream.
But the guys are fucking cool though, so like I've never been a huge fan. I just never really listened to them. And so the next day I just show up at soundcheck because he put me on the will call list. I was like, I wasn't sure if I was going to go to the show. I ended up going to soundcheck, which was fucking awesome, because nobody was there, and I know some of those guys in the crew over there. And so I got like, I got to see the show where there was like 3 people watching, and then after that I saw that line and I was like, fuck this, I'm going home. So.
That's cool though, and they've been doing music long enough now.
Dude, since like 88.
Yeah, that's a long time in the game, man.
Yeah.
That brings a certain level of talent to it. No matter what you're doing, it brings a certain level of talent that is worthy of a lot of respect.
Oh, dude, that Eric, the bass player.
Yeah.
He, I guess. He's the only original member, I guess, still.
Okay.
The guy wears like the crazy hats and the overalls and shit, and he makes his own clothes and a lot of weed. And,
yeah.
And
I think that's their brand.
But surprisingly down to earth, man. I don't know, that's even for guys for a lot of these bands that I've seen, over the years. I don't know, a lot of them are pretty down to earth,
Mm-hmm. I don't think you can get very far in this industry. Without an enormous amount of talent to offset assholery. I think you have to be pretty charismatic. You got to be able to kind of roll with the punches, and especially if you're going to let 1988, man, that's a long time. That's a very long time.
Yeah, and that was kind of a new sound then too.
It was.
Crazy. Have you done any touring?
So when I was younger, I played around a lot. Never with any sort of like profit.
Yeah. Oh God, no.
I've never been successful in music.
You don't make money doing this.
No.
You Big Circle Hot Shots. You guys go out for like 7 weeks at a time. Which band was that?
So the only thing we would do. I don't know if you remember this guy. His name was Trey Wallace. He was the guy that I very first started the band with. I was 16 years old. And working at the movie theater in the mall, the little dollar movie theater.
Far out.
And it was awesome. It was a great job. Very cool job. And Trey came up behind me and said, hey man, do you want to be in a band? And I said, I don't know how to play an instrument. And he said, oh, I don't either. And so we started playing. And he played drums and I played guitar. And Jason over at the 806 was the very first one to kind of let us play.
Really?
And we started hitting a small circuit here in town. And then we'd go out to Oklahoma City and play the coffee shops. And we'd go to Albuquerque and play some of the little card shows and stuff. And then played a few shows down in Dallas, Fort Worth area, and so you have like these little like weekend warrior trips, right? But we never did buy the van and throw all your gear in and quit your job and go. That was the dream, right? But we never made enough money for that dream to become reality.
Oh God, no, dude.
So I stayed, and we both stayed very unsuccessful musicians until we kind of broke up the band.
It's a money losing venture for sure.
It is, and I don't think
love or money.
I don't think anyone is in this game for the money, man. I really don't.
You can't be.
You certainly don't start out that way.
No.
It's just I've talked about this before, but all artists, and it doesn't matter what you're doing artistically, but in particular musicians, there's something inside of you that is constantly pushing you to put something out there, right? And it does not matter if you're the only person that ever hears that thing that goes out there. It's just the fact that you're doing it. It is pent up inside, and we have to release that. And I think that's a really cool, unique sort of magic that we're all kind of experiencing.
I wonder if we didn't have that. I wonder how many more psychopaths there would be in the world if there was no such thing as that release of artistic creation.
I think a decent argument could be made that it is that release of artistic passion is its own form of psychopathy.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, I think there is a certain community that I was unable to find in anything else in my entire life that music embraced. You know, I've made friends through this that I otherwise just never would have met. I mean, I've had these really unique and powerful experiences just because I'm another white guy with a guitar, right? You know, so I like it despite the fact that I add very little to the conversation. I think most of the time that conversation has added a great deal to me.
Right.
So.
Something you plan on keeping going for as long as physically possible?
Yeah, you know, it again, because it's a compulsion, it's something I will always do. It's something I'm going to be throwing a whole lot less money at.
Yeah.
You're in recent
I keep saying the
years,
same thing. I don't know how much shit is in here, man. It's like
I'm looking around. You need an intervention.
it's getting bad, dude.
No, it is. It's one of those things that I love doing it. And I love playing music. I love writing music. And I, for about 2 years, stopped. And
no, really?
I kind of gave it up and thought that part of my life was over, right? I thought that was done. And my daughter was born, and I was focused on raising this little girl. And I realized at some point that I was failing as a dad if I was not chasing the things that I was passionate about while raising this little kid, right?
Fair enough, yeah.
That's a big part of our job as parents, is to show the way that you balance life's responsibilities with life's passions.
Lead by example.
Exactly.
Yeah. How old's your little girl?
Now she's 10, man.
Now she's 10, goodness.
She's 10 on Sunday, so yeah.
Oh my goodness, yeah. The road ahead.
Yeah, man.
Teenage daughter.
Oh, don't. Nope, that's future Derek's problem. This Derek gets to just enjoy the little girl that still likes him, you know?
Yeah.
I'm soaking it up all I can.
Bro, I've got a kid that is going to be 32.
32.
This October. You know, and she's pissed at me. She doesn't talk to me right now, but still, you know.
I
like,
hate to hear that, man.
It's always fine. My other daughter, everybody knows Brianna. Do you know Brianna?
I don't think so.
My other daughter.
I don't think I've met her.
I'm at that point in life where, like, you know, everybody always knew her as Thule's kid, and now I'm starting to be known as Brianna's dad. You know, it's like, oh, you're Brianna's dad. I'm like, I got a fucking name.
Hey, it's a passing of the torch.
Yeah, it is. It kind of is, man. I don't hate it, man. She's got 2 little boys, so I'm a granddad now, dude.
You're I did not know that.
Well, one is 7, and the other one is 2.
You're a damn good-looking granddad.
Well,
man.
thanks.
You're holding it well.
Yeah, you're a good liar, Derek.
I was raised Church of Christ. Yeah.
Good answer. So tell me about the books. So we talked a little bit about those. So you're doing the trilogy, the science fiction. Did you do a kid's book?
So I am working on a kid's book, and it is in its infancy, right? But it's the one I hate admitting this, but it's the one I'm most excited about because it's the most novel, and I'm an 80%er, right? I get 80% through a project, and then I'm like, okay, I want to do the next thing, right? So in the process of writing this most recent poetry book, I wrote something that was more akin to Shel Silverstein, and I was reading Bo Burnham's poetry book around the same time, and it's fantastic. If you haven't read it, it's called Egghead. It's really great.
That guy is fantastically intelligent.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant, and everything that I hope I can be someday when I grow up. You know, he's even though he's much younger than me, but he's putting things out that are have continuously been pretty life shifting for me. You know, I remember. My life before and after Make Happy was released, and before and after Inside came out, and this book is it's just kind of like a cool riff on what Shel Silverstein brought to the poetry genre. So I'm sure that influenced me, and I am working with an artist who now lives in Florida, and hopefully we're going to put out a children's book.
Is that Nick Schmitto?
No, so Nick Schmitto does live in Florida.
Okay.
But no, it's a girl named Amanda. We've never met. She is friends with my cousin and has been one of the biggest supporters of my books. She got me into. She lived in North Carolina, South Carolina, something like that. An East Coast state. I'm bad with geography, and she got me into a bookstore over there. We had never met. She just went and talked to the bookstore owner, and he ordered my stuff off Amazon, and I was carried in this random bookstore before anyone in Amarillo would carry my book. And I just loved that. It was a very cool, very special kind of thing. And so she stayed in touch and has done some really cool artistic things, and she's got like this beer blog, and she's got this. She kind of does like American tattoo style art.
Okay.
And so I reached out to her and I was like, hey, I know you're playing around in Procreate, and like
Yeah.
I have this thing that needs art. Would you be at all interested? So we're working on it. I'm hoping that'll
that's
come out
badass,
next
man.
year. Yeah, so it's gonna be cool.
You know, we were talking about Hastings earlier.
Yeah.
And Hastings used to have a thing where they would, if you were a local musician or artist, or if you had artwork, or if you've written, you know, just any kind of creative work, they would consign that stuff for you. And they'd ask for just a minimal profit, like 10% or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And you could put your stuff, and they would give you a barcode and everything, and they put the stuff on the shelf for you.
And I respected. I talked about this just recently the other day. Hastings was one of the very first places that we were allowed to play.
Oh, really?
You know, when I was still really terrible at music, right? I sucked. But Hardback Cafe let us play, and we would go in and we would set up in front of the little coffee machine. You hear like the and the grinders and the spray of the milk steamer or whatever, and it was still such a great environment to build up that initial. When you're trying to build your fan base, you know this, like no one cares, right? But if you
Why
can
would they?
just get someone to say, like, especially a place like Hastings,
Yeah.
that sort of backing makes people pay attention a lot more, and it helped a
Getting
ton.
one or two people to latch on and talk about you.
Yes.
You know, that's how you get it. You know, it's funny you mentioned that, because like one of the first videos of Mag 7 that we floated out there with John Lerma was at Hastings, the old Hastings in Georgia, and I've got
Really?
that on a hard drive around here somewhere.
Dude, and they're fantastic.
Yeah.
I love those guys.
Dude.
So Brandon Lindelius, actually, my second record that I ever put out is An Autumn Rain, Wasted Youth and Others' Dreams. That was recorded in his back house.
No, when he lived over in Hayden?
Yeah.
He told me this story. Yes, I've talked to, yeah.
Dude, he taught me more about music than anyone, I think, in my entire
Yeah.
life. Like, listening to that guy, he has this zen calm. So I'd never played with a click track before, right? I can't imagine how stressful I was to try and direct as he's like, you know, mashing red in the other room, like hit record, and then Derek's just stomping through the song.
Yeah.
It was awful. It was really tough. But he was just genuinely so kind and calm and chill.
That is that guy's nature, man. He is just impossibly sweet. He's one of my best friends, and I love the guy. You know, he was in town last night, and those guys are on their way up to Canada. Like he's passing through Amarillo, and I got a place to stay at my house. So, you know, and I didn't get to see him, but in that Zen thing, I took his White Crane class years ago.
How did that go?
So you see this? This doesn't White Crane very well.
I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
That was probably one of the most brutal workouts I've ever had to partake in. And I used to go to Nick's. You know, it's like the boxing workouts are pretty fucking awful, but like the White Crane, you stand bent knee the whole time. You know, hour and a half, 2 hours.
Yes.
And you know, I wasn't used to that, and you're constantly focused on breathing. And you know, he teaches you all the moves. I can't remember any of them now. You know, but it was such a taxing workout, and it was at such a toxic, awful period of my life where I really needed it. Like, dude, after the first workout, I fucking cried. Like, I had an emotional release of all this stuff I'd been holding back on. It's like the end of it, I didn't understand where it was coming from.
Right.
And again, the Zen thing, he's just such an amazing guy. Anyway, yes, I'd heard the story that I think he told me about doing music with you back there. I only went back there a couple of times. You know, everybody knew him before I did.
Well, and that's what I love about Brandon, is he is passionate about teaching what he knows and sharing what he knows, be that music or be that the kung fu. And you know, him and Donovan Blair, they've both been profound influences on my life here, and just really great friends, which is rare in this city.
Absolutely. And you know, I mean, for lack of a better description, those guys are rock stars. You know, literally and figuratively, and they're just great guys. You know, Donnie's written a book.
Yeah, it's fantastic, man.
Yeah.
If you haven't read it,
I haven't read it yet.
Even If It Kills Me is the book, and it is one of those books that I actually read it while I was working at Region 16, so I got paid to read it. So I got an early copy of his book from him and started kind of pouring through it, and it's profound. I am shocked. You don't I know Donnie as this just very cool guy that I love to hang out with, and I love his music. I think he's a fantastic musician. I didn't realize what he brings to the table as an author is just this profound depth of experience.
I guess I need to check that out.
It's brilliant, man. He's talking about everything from his youth, and he's very. I mean, you've talked to Donnie. He's funny. That translates to the page even better, honestly.
Yeah.
He's hilarious. It's very well written, and at the end of the book, I highly recommend it for people who are in a turning point in their life, right? So there's, the most common people I would recommend it to is like high school to college, right? So as a graduation gift, this book's perfect because it kind of gives you a framework of sorts of like, hey, what am I doing, right? And Donnie, immensely talented dude. I can't say enough kind stuff about him.
Hey.
Savor, Amarillo's only true tapas dining experience, now open 7 days a week with lunch being served daily. And now on Saturdays and Sundays, brunch being served from 11 to 3. Savor.
How do you find time to read? That's one thing. So like doing something, I've got, for better or for worse, 3 bands that are working right now. One that's coming up, and and the podcast.
Right.
And God forbid I actually work 2 nights a week, so that sucks.
Yeah, right. Well, and it's hard to make time, man. And I'll be honest with you, I don't make a whole lot of time for it right now. I do a lot of audiobooks right now.
Yeah.
I'm reading Leviathan Wakes, which I'm enjoying a lot.
Yeah.
But it's taken me a month to get through a book that would have, probably 10 years ago taken me maybe a week.
Yeah.
You lose time. And I think the compromise is just figuring out, like, what am I trading off? Because you are going to trade off something, right?
How does that translate? So, like, reading a book is obviously very taxing. I don't know why it seems like this is elementary subject matter here, but I'm truly, I want to know how this happens. So writing a book seems like it's nearly fucking impossible. The time it takes to write a book would be inexorably 10 times what it takes to read a book.
So yeah, and it is. There's 2 things. One, again, it goes back to the music or any other type of art. It's something that's inside of you that you have to get out, right? And so there's that release that comes with doing it. And sometimes you'll find a flow or a rhythm, and it allows you to kind of push through whatever it is that you're writing about. I'm also, and I recognize this, I'm enormously privileged, man. Like I own my own business, and that gives me an incredibly flexible schedule.
Right.
The first book that I wrote a chunk of it when I went on a family vacation, right? And that was, I had no cell service, but I had this iPad and this keyboard, and I would set up in a coffee shop before everyone else woke up.
Typed it.
And I typed away at the iPad, and I think I knocked out half the book.
Nice.
And I think that's what you're looking for, and I think that's the most important thing. Is figuring out a way to get away from, I'm on TikTok 3.5 hours a day, right? Like, it's an awful addiction that I am trying to separate myself from, and so that's the big thing: is A, making a conscious choice and being consistent, and then B, knowing exactly what you're wanting to do. It's just like with music. If you go into the studio and you're aimless, you'll have a great jam session, but you might not get anything out of it.
Yeah.
You might, but you might not. If you go in with purpose and you actually are trying to focus on something, you're going to leave better for that focus.
That's sweater gods are having that problem right now. Where we're still trying to find our sound.
Yeah.
And that's. I've tried to live track our rehearsals. I've got a little mixer over there, and we recorded it. And it's unusable,
Right.
But other than some ideas we captured,
and it feels good in the moment. I still think that's valuable.
Yeah.
I think the bullshit that leads to the real shit is a very important part of the process, right? But if we stay stuck in this early stage where, and I think a lot of bands do this, and I know a lot of authors do this, where you're just kind of spitballing, and for authors, I think a lot of times that's the world building. Right. So you can outline and you can say like, oh, this is what I want to do, and this race of creatures comes from this part of the woods of this city, and I don't think any of that matters. What matters is the story, and what matters with the music is the song, right? And if you're not constantly at least trying to chip away at the outer edges of that song, you're not just robbing yourself, you're robbing potential fans and listeners and people who might dig your stuff.
You do video production and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
What do you do for that? Is that petrichor video?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So I got to ask: is this a spin-off of the Autumn Rain name, like the smell of petrichor?
It is a little bit. Yeah.
I thought that was pretty brilliant when I saw all that.
You are brilliant.
When I was creeping you, I was like, okay, this makes sense. It all ties together. So.
I have a common obsession, and truly, a lot of that ties back to what is one of my favorite lines in music from Brand New off of Deja Entendu. It's one of my favorite love lines. He says, "You are the smell before rain. You are the blood in my veins." Ooh. And I loved that. It stuck with me my entire life, and I've tried to kind of name everything that I do around it. And
yeah.
So yeah.
Okay,
But yeah, good catch.
That is fantastic. So the video company. Mm-hmm. So when you say you're filming a wedding, you're actually setting up cameras all over the place and videoing, and then you go and edit and post and make a nice production quality.
Right. So I'll go in and I specialize in the highlight reel videos, right? Uh-huh. So it's taking a long day and turning it into something that hopefully makes people cry, right? So we take all of these little emotional bits and we lay under the vows of when I first saw that ass, I was like, damn. And, and we throw that into the wedding video so grandma can see it and just know how deeply in love you are. It's been a really, really cool thing, especially as a guy who writes emo music, right? Yeah. There's this very interesting thread that kind of runs through literally everything, but like, it's beautiful to watch some of these young couples, not all of them, but some of these very young couples getting together and seeing each other on their wedding day. That's a unique job, right? Mm. Where I'm partying with you on the best day of your life, hopefully, right? Yeah. So that's been cool, and it's something I really enjoy. I enjoy putting out the end product and having something that, as I look back now, it's very cool to see a lot of these people have kids. Yeah. A lot of these people are they've built these beautiful lives and these beautiful families together. And it's like, man, I played a very small role, but I was there.
Yeah,
I was there.
Capture the moment, and 10 years, 20 years. I mean. There's no such thing as data rot in the digital world now. So I mean, they can pull this stuff up later on down on their Google Cloud Drive that was handed down to them from their grandparents, and this was Granddad's Cloud Drive. This was their wedding. Well, let me download the wedding right quick.
This meant so much to me. I just had someone reach out to me, and they had showed their wedding video to their daughter for the very first time. She's 5 or 6 now, mm-hmm. and it made her cry because she saw her parents getting married, and I was. That's the stuff. That's really cool. It's a very unique thing.
I never saw my parents get married. I mean, there was no footage of that. I mean,
right.
Could have been done at damn JP for all I know. But I mean, So yeah, that is. I'm getting married next month.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, and we're, but like very small thing. Like it's just us and the kids. We're doing a pagan wedding out in the woods, dude.
Dude, that's gonna be so. Where in the woods? Where are you going?
Not I say the
Excuse
woods.
Me.
It's out here somewhere in the, Jamie Lyons and Mark. They've got a place way the fuck out north of town.
Yeah.
They've got a nice little place out there, some trees and stuff.
Dude, that's gonna be great.
And we're gonna if we can get around the burn ban. I'd like to have a small bonfire. The moon up here. It's gonna be in the, I believe, northeastern sky, and at about 6 p.m. And so we're going to have a little fire, and we're going to do that in front of there. I'm going to set these cameras up, and I'm going to do a little three angle, just record them independently on battery. And
dude, that's going to be so good. Well, and I shouldn't say this because it's bad for business, I guess, but I deeply believe that the scale of your wedding doesn't matter even a little bit. It is genuinely just like, are you across from the person you love whenever you
Absolutely.
say I do, and that's all that matters. I also love that a lot of these smaller ceremonies, COVID came about and changed the wedding game pretty profoundly. Yeah. I made no money for 3 months. It was terrifying. But that also made a lot of smaller weddings. It took away some of the artifice that we throw around, and people are like, well, we don't really need to invite Aunt Bertha because she doesn't like us and we don't like her, right? So you can drill this down to the people that actually care and want to be there, and it's all the more memorable for it. I think it's awesome.
You ever played music at a wedding?
Yeah, I played at Almighty Si, Braxton and Bex. He's a rapper here. So they had their wedding out at Mariposa, and I just played that show not too long ago. There was a thunderstorm. that was like way off in the
nice.
distance. And so like as the sun's setting, you have this lightning striking in the background and the thunder rolling in, and then one of the lightning strikes struck, and it's I don't think it was quite to Dumas, but there was a fire that started, and so we had this like glowing fire in the distance as I'm playing music, and it's one of the most magical things. I mean, it was horrible, I'm sure, for whoever that was, but like it was beautiful for me.
What a moment to capture, just on chance.
Yes.
That's bananas.
Oh, it was great. It was
Yeah.
great, and it was a beautiful wedding. I'm very excited for them. They're very sweet, and he's a very talented rapper, man.
Yeah.
He's incredibly talented. He's got a I think he's kind of building a bit of a following. I was on his podcast not too long ago too. But yeah, they're both very sweet, and they've been very cool to me.
Right.
So
What's his name again?
Braxton.
Is that the guy with the beard?
Yes, long beard.
Yeah.
And then Bex, she's got like curly hair. I think it's cut shorter right now.
Right. They did a show at Lefty's a few weeks ago.
Yes.
And,
Yes.
I did sound for that show.
Really?
Yeah.
What about you? You played a wedding?
I played a bunch of weddings, yeah.
Yeah.
But it was all like
Do you like
classic. Yeah, it's pretty fun. Yeah, I get hired for the same thing, just classical guitar, like
Right.
with wedding march and cannons and stuff like that. I mean,
I can't do that. I have immense respect for that, man. I am not talented enough to play those types of songs. Like even my covers
stressful.
are like dumb versions of the covers, right? Like I cover Taylor Swift, but I only play like 4 chords and part of the song because I don't know how to play the bridge, right? So I mean, like there's an enormous amount of
I
talent
think
that's
you're a
required.
profound
to go
enough
here.
musician. I think you're selling yourself a little short here, buddy.
No, I appreciate it.
I
I
did.
appreciate it, but
The whole game is pretty interesting. Amarillo life. So how long have you lived here?
too long. I probably 20 something years.
Yeah. Where are you from?
Maybe even more than that. I hopped around a lot when I was younger, man.
Yeah.
My dad was a photographer, and
Okay.
the not a cool kind. He was the kind that like Sears, that like shot people's families with like the weird like halo, where
Yeah.
you have like a soft faded picture of the dead cat in the upper right corner.
Nice.
And we would hop around. So I was born in Porterfield, New Mexico.
Oh, that sucks.
Lived in, yeah, it did. But I was too young to know. Lived in Oklahoma. I lived in Arkansas. I lived in Missouri, Kansas. Hopped around a lot, and
Yeah.
I think that accounts for my fractured personality. So, but yeah, I've lived here for a very long time. Went to elementary school here, and I don't know, man. I have a lot of beef with this city because of its wasted potential, which I think we're just waiting for enough old people to die to make this a cooler town.
I mean, yeah.
But all that said, I want to add on to that I have met some of the most incredibly talented people I've ever met, and I've traveled all over. We have an enormous amount of talent. I think some of that is, in order to grow in this city, in order to run a business in this city, in order to be a musician in this city, requires an enormous amount of grit that is just not necessary in some other different markets, because
Right.
you have more support. You have more people that want to see you succeed. I've talked to a lot of other business owners here. If you can run a business in Amarillo, you can run it anywhere. If you can, I deeply believe if you're making music in Amarillo, you're going to be successful anywhere. And
Could be.
You could be.
If I mean, you gotta put in the work, put in the time.
You do, but I think this prepares you for what you are doing in some of the bigger markets a lot better. Now, I'm not saying it's an easy pathway to success. I'm not saying it's a shortcut to success. What I'm saying is the environment here is so hostile that you're going to feel so much better when you actually get approached with the opportunity for success.
Right.
So what is it? Practice, preparation, and luck.
Yeah.
This is the practice and preparation stage, and it's a hell of a lot of practice. So
Some people might call that a baptism by fire.
yeah, I think that's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
So yeah,
What do you think about this Hoodoo Music Festival that's coming through?
man, I'm glad they're doing that type of work. Unfortunately, I think I was out of town for the last Hoodoo Festival.
Yeah.
I'm going to try my best to make it to this. It looked really fun. I love that they're blocking off downtown. I love that they're bringing in some artists. I don't know anything about the organizers or anything like that, but I saw the video and photos from it. It looked cool. So what do you think about it?
The one last year seemed pretty cool. They had local bands and local artists, and I'm trying to figure out if they have any local artists on this one. Do you know?
Oh, I haven't even seen the bill. I didn't know the bill was posted.
They posted the bill a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
And
is it not local?
That's what I was curious about. Is that I didn't see any local bands. At least none that I recognized.
Vamping's playing. I think Vamping's playing, right? Aren't they?
They played last year. I don't know about this year.
Okay.
I would hope so. I hope they're playing this year.
Me too. Well,
I mean, that would make sense.
It should be. I'm great with bringing in outside talent. I think that's fantastic. But I also think that has to be balanced by supporting the people who are actually playing and performing in this town. And I think Vamping, I think Native Crowds is doing some really great work. Travis Roberts is killing the game right now.
Travis is my bro, man. I love that kid.
He's brilliant.
There's so much good young talent right now, man.
Dude, so I forget how young he is.
Yeah, man, Travis is the weirdest mixture of a young man and an old man all at once. You know what I mean?
Yes, 100%.
He's got this profound knowledge that someone 24 years old should not, or 23, however old he is.
Yeah. I thought he was 22.
He might be that. Yeah. Actually, I think he is, come to think of it, yeah.
Yeah, and when you talk to him, the man presents like a 30-year-old.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just he has this depth of experience and almost like a world-weary type of wisdom that he brings to his music. He is my favorite lyricist in town right now.
Yeah.
He's just writing some of my very favorite lyrics.
The kid he blows my mind. Hey, Rhett Euland, another one that's really good. Rhett,
fantastic.
Of course, Remy's part of the Young Guns. I made a playlist of the Amarillo Young Guns, and I put Remy and Native Crowds and Rhett and Travis and Jay Cali, who Jay Cali is he's probably hands down my favorite artist. He's also my drummer in one of my bands.
Really, I didn't know that. He's got a great energy, man. He brings great energy.
He's like a son to me at this point, and he's so infuriatingly talented. Like he can just pick up guitar, like the stuff that he raps to, he'll sit there right where you're sitting and play a guitar and just sing it real sweetly, and I'm looking forward to recording it.
Right. Well, dude, I Native Crowds, watching them perform over the last several months, I keep saying every single show I see Remy play is better than the last. He's bringing an energy that I've never seen from anyone, and they're leaving it all on the stage, man, and it's very cool to watch. And that's the type of people that should be playing at the festival. Absolutely. So if they haven't been invited, I hope someone does. I hope someone throws them on there, man.
Yeah. So what do you got coming up in the future? What's you were talking about future Derek earlier. What's future Derek got going on?
I was hoping that when we had this podcast, I would have already got something to promote for you. But no, I don't. I'm releasing 2 books. That's the biggest thing that I'm working on right now.
That's a pretty big deal, man.
I appreciate it. I feel enormously guilty. One of them's a Kickstarter book that a lot of people they threw some money at me to help, and they did all these little rewards tiers, and one of those reward tiers is I'll write a poem for you. And I wasn't expecting anyone to care, and I got a lot better response than I was expecting. And I'm really bad at scheduling things. I'm really bad at reaching out to people and doing meetings, and so it's taken me several months, and I'm still not done. Yeah. So I'm going to finish that this month.
You ever do these open mics, poetry readings, things like antiques and things like that?
Yeah, I love antiques, man. What she's doing over there is incredible. I love their open mic. It's great.
Angela,
I love the 806 open mic.
She's one of the most excellent human beings I've ever met.
Angela just has a kindness to her that is unique and special, and I love it. Yeah. I love their open mic. I'll play there occasionally. I'll play the 806 every once in a while. I don't ever do poetry readings unless it is a specifically poetry focused thing, if that makes sense. I've only done it a couple times. It's because I feel super uncomfortable about it. It's really weird. I'm not uncomfortable at all if I have a guitar in front of me, man. But if I'm just sitting up and reading something that I wrote, it just feels off. So I've never been able to get super comfortable with it unless it's me unless it's just filled with obscenity or something. That's I guess better. But that's what I'm going to be working on. I'm going to be working on a couple of books, and hopefully I'll be booking a bunch of shows, but I don't know. I haven't really. I'm going to hit up Leftwoods. I'll hit up Golden Light. I'll hit up 806 and see if I can get in there.
I get you on Leftwoods.
I would like that a lot. I would like that a lot.
Get you in over. We can do a show with Native Crowds. We can get you in front, put you on the end, wherever you want it, man.
Dude, that's what I want.
Throw you on one of these touring bands if you want.
I would love that, and I want to play more with Remy because he and I have talked about forming an emo supergroup.
Nice.
all the Twin Tongues or whatever. Well, I hope that can happen. But yeah,
Yeah.
I want to play more shows, and I'll definitely hit you up about
Yeah.
Leftwoods. So.
I'd like that.
Yeah.
I want Remy, so I'm not going to do. I've done the Loudmouth Toolies Bummer in the Summer Sad Song
Yes.
contest. I'm not doing it this year.
Why?
I got too much shit going on, man.
That's fair. That's fair.
But honestly, I mean, I kind of want to pass the torch on. I want Remy. I want you to take that over. All right, the sad song shit. That's your wheelhouse, son. And I think it's time that you took this over.
I agree.
Anyway, and hell, I think he won it the year before last. So, I mean, so, as
No,
he should.
it's time.
Yeah.
It's time. He needs to take over.
Yeah. So.
We'll both text him after this and just
Yeah.
make sure
totally. Yeah.
it's on record. I like that.
Well, I'll tell you what, man. I'm going to wrap this up. Anything? So, what's the website's the name for now? TF in.
So the website I try to steer everyone towards that just has all of the things that I do on
Yeah.
it is thatporterfield.com.
Thatporterfield.com.
Yep.
Okay.
And so that's just kind of like a little landing page. If you want to check out the books, if you want to check out the music, you want to check out
OnlyFans, probably.
my OnlyFans.
Yeah.
God, I'll tell you, probably the most disappointing $15 you'll ever spend.
Yeah.
But I hope you check it out.
Well, man, thanks so much for being on the
thank
show.
you, man. I appreciate
Dude,
it. Seriously.
That was fantastic.
I had so much fun. Thank you.
All right. Guys, remember, Amarillo Rocks, we say, what's our motto? You know the motto?
No.
We got a motto.
What's your
Wide
motto?
front to back, clear your browser history, and go see some live music.
God. That's horrible.
Yeah, it's terrible. 3 things that you need to maintain. All right. Amarillo Rocks.